Now, to talk about our tapeworms or our cestode infestations, these are flatworms, and they have a very long, thin, flat or ribbon-like body that has these sacs called proglottids, and then the head region is a scolex that grips the intestine. Each proglottid is independent, and it's adapted to absorb food and to make and release eggs. Now, the Taenia saginata, or the beef tapeworm, is very large, has up to 2,000 proglottids, and the scolex is, of course, attached to the intestine. Humans are the definitive host. The animals become infected by grazing on land that's contaminated with human feces, and humans get it from eating raw beef in which the larval form has encysted. And then the larva attaches to the human small intestine and becomes an adult. And it's going to cause some vague abdominal pain and nausea, and you're going to find noticeable proglottids in your stool. The pork tapeworm, the Taenia solium, infects humans that ingest encysted larvae or eggs, and then the eggs hatch in the intestine, and the larva is released and migrates to all the tissues, and it encysts, and it can lodge in the heart, eye, or brain and cause seizures and psychiatric disturbances. And this over here, figure A, is showing you the scolex with the 4 suckers and then the 2 rows of the hooklets that hook into the small intestine. Now to talk about our vectors, the arthropods. This includes your arachnids and your crustaceans as well as insects, and they have to feed on blood and tissue fluid of the host during the life cycle, and they become ectoparasites. They transmit these infectious microbes when they're feeding, so they're biological vectors. And this table shows a list of the arthropod biological vectors. I want you to notice the first column, the insect vectors, the second column, the disease that's transmitted, and then the distribution in the last column where you find them. Now, the insects that are vectors are usually mosquitoes, fleas, lice, and ticks. Mosquitoes have to have an aquatic habitat, and the females take a blood meal when transmitting the disease. And this is how malaria, filariasis, and dengue fever are transmitted. Fleas feed on warm-blooded animal, and they carry things like plague and the murine typhus. Lice are small and soft, and they attach to the head and body hair and feed on blood and tissue fluid, and then release feces in and contaminate a wound, the wound that they make when they feed. This causes endemic typhus. Then you have ticks that cling on vegetation attached to any host they come in contact with. And they, all stages of their life cycle, get a blood meal by piercing the skin of the host. You've got the hard ticks that transmit bacterial and viral diseases, and soft ticks that transmit relapsing fever.